The following program is a public access production. Comcast is required to provide time on this channel and make it available pursuant to franchise agreements with the communities we serve. Comcast is not affiliated with the following program or the producers of public access programming and is not responsible for the content. The following program does not reflect the opinions of Comcast or its affiliates.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. This is me, Rhonda B., from Voices of Mass Discussion. And you might note, I don't have my partner in crime with me today, Miss Maureen Forte from In the Know with Mo. But we're going to do our show today. I have an author that I'm very excited about. His name is Mr. Roderick Johnson. He wrote a book, and we'll talk about the book in great detail, but it's called Wake Up, Black America. We are sleepwalking back to slavery. I met Mr. Johnson perhaps about 5 years ago when he first came out with this book. The title got my attention with Sleepwalking Back into Slavery, which is something that I'm not too akin to because, of course, slavery just gives such negative connotations in our culture and our history. So that title stuck out in my mind because I didn't like it. I liked the Wake Up Black America part, but I didn't like the Sleepwalking Back to slavery. But the significance of reading and understanding our history and our culture is because we learn from the things that we don't know. And that book, I did read the book, whether I liked the title or not at that point, but that book stayed in my mind. And with all of the problems we're having with our young people today, I went and dug this book out and picked up the phone to get his take on what's going on in America today. And he had wrote about it so many years ago. And so we got into a very lively conversation at that point, which I felt was significant enough for us to share with, our audience. Because there's just way too many young lives being lost. There's so many chapters that I want him to go over in his book. One chapter I liked is Black Churches. What is your focus? Where are our black churches at today with so many of our young black lives being lost? It's not okay for anyone life to be taken at the hand of another. But it's so commonplace here with our young people. Almost every single day there's a young life lost that makes the news. But there's many more deaths out there than what we hear about on the news. So I like his chapter, Black Churches, what is your focus? The church is supposed to be there to help us save our soul. Black American Healthcare, what's going on? How appropriate is that as a title that he had done the research, wrote about and talked about 5 years ago, and that's at the forefront of the president today. Something else I felt was timely. Black communication vehicles are in short supply. Discrimination still exists. The playing field is still not level. All of this is still so very true. And the black family, how important is it? There was a time in our history that regardless of what happened, is we could turn to the matriarchs of our family. That's no longer today. The black family, how important is it? For me, I think it all starts there with the black family. And then, of course, it's his book, so he's going to tell you his take because he's done the research. I'm only giving you an opinion. Mm-hmm. So I would like to introduce my guest, Mr. Roderick Johnson.
Good afternoon.
Okay, and I thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I see you have here, you say sometimes you go out and you do presentations and public speaking. Mm-hmm. So he has to get here a chart that he's going to email to me because when I write my newspaper article, I don't want to have to try to recreate this. Mm-hmm. But this problem-solving matrix, let's start off with that. Okay. What is the matrix all about?
Well, one of the things that came about when I was doing the research for this is that some of the people, in talking to them about these problems in our community and the causes and all of that, and why is it that seemingly we're not doing anything about it, one of the things that came about is that an awful lot of people are not doing anything because they're afraid of their problems because they don't have a clue about how to go about solving them. And I said, wow, that makes an awful lot of sense. And that was just one of the things that happens. And it just happens that I had been sent to Wharton University, one of the best business schools in the country, by the U.S. Postal Service, which I used to work for. And one of the things that they did very well is teach you how to solve problems. And the problem-solving matrix is one of the things that make it easy. You know, you're able to show the problem, and it's really called like a fishbone. And you're able to identify the causes. And of all of these causes, what you do is look at the one that has the greatest impact on the problem, and that's the most probable cause. So in solving the problem and developing strategies to solve the problem, you begin by eliminating the most probable cause, and then you're on your way to solving the problems.
So you have noted here some of the causes, I take this, you mean the problems that we have, is too many of our young people.
That's the problem.
Oh, the problem. Let me share with you guys. He said the problem is the number of young black males that are killing other blacks, quitting school, getting into serious trouble, going to jail, and dying is increasing every year instead of declining. This is very bad for Black America and for America as a whole. So that's the problem, as you see it. Mm-hmm. And then you said some of the causes of this problem are, you said they join gangs at a young age. Mm-hmm. Now, you said they don't go to church. You mean too many of our young people or just us, period?
No, the young people we're talking about.
Too many of our young people do not go to church. Mm-hmm. There's no father in the home, guns in the neighborhood, no male teachers at an early age for the young kids. Right. Sometimes the moms are working 2 jobs. You feel they watch too much TV?
Yeah.
Drugs in the neighborhood, lack of jobs in the neighborhood. We've gotten away from it takes a village.
Right.
And you say, in addition to watching too much TV, then the TV they watch, the shows are no good.
Right.
And then you also feel that the lack of a preschool plays a problem.
Yeah.
And then you said the most probable cause. Too many young black males have no father or other male model in their lives. This results in a situation where too many black moms are trying alone to raise boys to become successful black men. So let's start there.
That's a good place to start.
Now, why do you feel that the black male figure is not in so many of our households? Not because they don't exist, because somebody had to produce the child.
Right, right. It's just, and again, let me just reiterate, this is not me saying this. Mm-hmm. This is the results of the research and the interviews that I did with black Americans all around the country. Okay. In fact, we'd be on vacation, and I'd be interviewing people in my family and get mad and go someplace else. Mm-hmm. But this is, what I was told was that it just got to the point where, again, we've gotten away from doing the things that worked for us. Mm-hmm. And, you know, as I mentioned to you earlier, I was born and raised in Natchez, Mississippi, and I just happened, my father wasn't there, but my grandfather was, my uncles were, and then later on in life I had a stepfather who did make a difference. Mm-hmm. But today, there are just so many other distractions. Mm-hmm. And what people told me is that a lot of the young men, you know, not being there in the family because it's just not the popular thing to do today. Mm-hmm. The TV shows and all the other stuff that they see and hear does not really show black men being the standard bearers and fathers like they used to be. You know, they show them doing all the other little things that excite the young people and keep them watching the television today. But again, big part of that is I didn't have a choice about going to church when I was a youngster. And once I got grown, I recognized that was a good thing because it taught me a lot. But again, you know, it taught me also that I need to do what I'm supposed to do for my kids. But when you don't go to church and get that teaching and you're not getting it at home, then when you become a father yourself, you don't see it as being that important. You know, so an awful lot of the men are just distracted doing other things and have 2 or 3 different babies by different moms, and you know, it's just not. A lot of them don't have jobs to take care of their young people. So there are a variety of different reasons.
So you know the part, and we hear this often. So I'm assuming there's some truth to it. You know, I haven't done the research, and so, but I have a problem with monolithic decisions to a problem as broad as what we face today with our young people. For me, I feel the church is significant, not because of the teaching of religion, you know, even though that has its role, because it all begins and starts with God for those who believe that.
Right.
But the church has a role, I feel, in our community and for our young black people far beyond what came first, the chicken or the egg, or Adam or Eve. Because inside the church, it teaches you value,
Right.
character,
Exactly.
and morals.
Yeah.
Let me say it should. I don't know what they do inside of a church these days, but that's the foundation.
Yeah.
Because the true belief of God, Virgin Mary, myth, factual, those are debatable issues. But the core issues which we're missing in our community are the same regardless of the religion. Because the values, the respect, like you said, the trying to get in a monogamous relationship,
Right.
you know, they teach you those things in any church, regardless of your belief on how we got here or didn't get here.
Right.
We don't go, too many of our young people do not go to church. And then when you do go to church, too many churches are away from the value system.
Right. Right.
You know, because the debate about school, if our kids went to church, that would enhance what they're supposed to be learning in school.
Excellent point. That's one of the things that I bring out in this chapter. School is not cool in many black communities today. You know, one of the things that happened again with me as a youngster, and with most of my friends that I grew up with. Again, we went to church because our parents made us go as little kids. But to your point, it helped us to reinforce the reading skills that we were getting in school. And we had Sunday school, and we had Sunday school teachers. And all of that just helped you to be a better student once you went to school into that class.
Because it reinforces the discipline, your attention span, all of what you need Monday morning. You have just been reminded Sunday morning.
Exactly. And today, to your point, a lot of the churches don't have programs to go out and bring in younger people. And as a result, a lot of them are having problems with membership because they don't have it. Either it's a mega church where they do have these programs and do the kinds of things that are necessary.
But then you're lost in the shuffle because there's too many.
There's so many people, yeah. But it's the church is really needed in our community, and it all has to start at home. You know, you have to start by taking your kids to school, to church, you know, and teaching them, you know, why they're there and why they should be there.
But you know, everybody blames the home, and even though that's our foundation, but I feel that it has to be a lot deeper than that. Because in those households, that individual parent, I would assume, is assuming that they're doing a decent job. But the results are quite the opposite.
Well, it's like we were saying earlier there too, you know, it's raising a kid is a team job. It's not, and it's very difficult for one person to do it. If there's a mom and a dad there, You know, there are occasions when they need help from their parents or the grandparents in these cases. But it all should start at home. And that's what the people told me that I interviewed. They say, you know, it's a tough job, but that's what we're put here for, to teach our kids, to raise them. And when you don't teach them right, somebody in the street teach them wrong.
And you know, everybody wants to point to the fact that there need to be a two-parent household. And of course, not being a male or not being a dad, I cannot honestly address that. But I'm not an advocate of that theory. And for the simple reason that I didn't come up in a two-parent household. I had a single mom with 4 children who all went to college, no gangs, no drugs, no teenage pregnancy. So I'm not sold on that, even though it's true as it may be. But what I'm concerned about is you can't put a square peg into a round hole. If it doesn't exist, that's still not okay for our young kids to be killing each other. So I want to cover some things about your book because you did the research. So it says, and there's so many things I like about it. Wake up, Black America, yes we can solve our own problems. You have and you have an action plan. I'd like for you to go over this action plan for recovery.
Yeah, that's relative to that particular problem. See, each chapter has got an action plan, and that's one of the reasons why the book won the award. It said that you know, they had not seen that in a book before, but this action plan is relative to this problem.
Of the matrix.
Yeah, the number of young black males that are killing each other and quitting school and whatever. So the problem is the number of young black males that are killing other blacks, quitting school, going to prison, dying and getting into serious trouble appear to be increasing rather than decreasing. Now the most probable cause is where there are a lot of different problems that we talked about earlier. It was said that the most important, the one that impacted the problem the greatest was that these kids were not getting that help at home. Most of them didn't have fathers in their home. And then when they went to school that first day, in most cases they had a female teacher. So they were not getting that male perspective. So the action plan for recovery says the strategy is work with elementary schools to develop and implement a plan to identify these young boys on their first days in school so that help can be provided. One of the things that I found out was that a lot of young people that come from single parent homes, a lot of times because that single parent is overwhelmed with working and cleaning and cooking and all of that, they don't always get the help at home that they need with their homework. And a lot of times that first or second day in school, when they come back to school and haven't done their homework and the other kids have, a lot of times they start to feel like a dummy, and ultimately they start to react and act out in self-defense. So what I was told was that, Mr. Johnson, yeah, the mentoring programs are good that we're doing right now, but we're doing them with teenagers and people in the 6th, 7th grade and whatever, and that's good. However, we need to start at a younger age. We need to get to them at a younger age. Develop and implement a plan with elementary schools to begin male mentoring and tutoring programs to help young boys earlier in their lives. Most have female teachers and still no male influence that makes a difference. Another strategy was develop and implement a plan to get more black fraternities involved with mentoring young black boys. Another one was what we talked about here. Work with black churches and black preachers to implement male mentoring and tutoring programs in the communities where their churches are located. And another one, work with groups like the NAACP, the Urban League, Operation Push, Al Sharpton's group, and others to develop and implement a plan to keep our first-time offenders out of jail the same as whites and other groups do. That's real big.
And that's what we
Because-
miss in our community.
Yes.
Our kids are not the only ones who misbehave.
Right.
We're just the only ones who never correct the problem.
And filling up the jails.
Right.
Yes, and we need to do something about that because we owe them that help. Work with local groups like the NAACP, Urban League, Push, Al Sharpton's, to develop and implement a plan to counter the black thug image that is being glorified on television and radio stations ASAP. And here we say that, you know, these multimillionaire celebrities, you know, musicians and whatever, already millionaires, putting this thug image still on yet. Why not do a positive image?
Right, exactly.
Why not present a positive image? Now, I understand that this thug image right now sells and it's all about money, but the black community should be pressuring these people who are already rich, you know, to do something positive.
But I
you
want
know.
to share something. When we were young kids, and my mom had something that she stressed to us and to people in the community, because of course you want your kids to be in a good environment, you want them to be in a safe environment. But my mom used to try to stress to us in our household, and apparently it worked because we turned out to be pretty stable, is she says that I'm trying to teach you, the individual, how to be the best person that you can be. She said, because I cannot go out there with you and keep you from all of life's negative elements. She said, so just because you're in a house of prostitutes, I want to instill the value in you that you don't have to be a prostitute just because you're in the house of prostitutes.
Yeah.
So just because you're in a community that doesn't thrive or streak to make accomplishments, we need to try to some kind of way. I don't understand why we cannot get the answer. Instill one child at a time to be the best that you can be.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. One of the things, the reason we have this problem is because where you got that teaching at home and I got it, there's so many kids out there who are not getting it. And that's what the problem is. When you get it at home, you turn out to be successful in most cases. But reality is that today there's so many young kids who are not getting what they need at home. And as a result, when they go to school, you know, they're cursing out the teacher and they're getting in trouble, and the gangs are able to get to them a lot easier when they don't have that home connection.
And you know, and it's valuable as education is, because I'm an educated person, I have a master's degree. As valuable as education is, society has set up the system now to make our children feel it's all or nothing. Either academically you succeed or you'll be nothing. That's not true.
No, because one of the things we talk about in the book here is that if you're a plumber or a contractor, you can make more money than somebody with a degree.
And the janitor in the school make more than the teachers.
Hey, and you can work for the rest of your life. You can always have a job if you're a good contractor and you know a trade and have a trade. So you're right. It's we encourage kids to go to school and get an education, but you know,
Which we want,
college,
and it's important.
right.
But the whole individual child has to be some kind of way we're missing a page. Nobody's teaching that child. Everybody's trying to teach that subject.
Yeah.
Now, our time is going to come to an end here, but something about your book that I feel is significant, and I want to encourage people. I don't know if they could pick your book up here on the on our camera, but I want people to go out and get this book called Wake Up Black America, with Sleepwalking Back to Slavery. And that's seldom that I actually tell someone to go get the book. So, because we do a lot
Thank you, thank you.
And the reason why I feel, because every chapter has something significant that's going on in our life today, but the reason why I'm saying that is because what's important to me. And since I'm the one doing the show, I get to say what's important to me. I like history. I'm a history buff. I enjoy talking with and hearing from people who take us back from what they know from their beginnings to what they've seen today. And in your book, you stress that there is not enough of our black history being taught.
Right.
And so I like that.
Oh, yeah. It's just unfortunate that, and that's not just, I mean, our kids definitely need it, but white kids need it too. They need to know that their parents haven't been totally truthful with them about what black people have done and whatever. Just as a point of view, my church had me start a mentoring program for young males, and at one of those sessions, I took them a list of inventions by black males, and you could see the light bulbs going off in their head.
They didn't know
Mr.
it.
Johnson,
Yeah.
a black man invented the bicycle frame? I said, yeah. Why are my teachers and people not telling me that? You mean ice cream was invented by black folk? You know, all of these things. First open heart surgery? I said, yes. They say, I didn't know any of this. I'm not being, this guy was in the 6th or 7th grade. He said, why is it that my teachers and people, I say, well, it's unfortunate. The system is run by people other than us, and they don't necessarily want you to know this. You know, but it's up to your family and people to teach it to you.
Now, you know what the thing, they have that little joke and the little saying that with Oprah Winfrey, everything she touches turned to gold. You know what, and that's a little joke, and it's cute.
Yeah.
But you know what is, in my opinion, very significant and is as true in the black community, and you would know this probably even better than myself with doing your research and your study. Anything that we have encountered and embraced as a group of people, we don't just accomplish it, we excel at it.
Yes.
And that's anything throughout our history.
Oh,
so
yeah.
why isn't that the common theme amongst our community?
Well, it gets back to this chapter, and that's why I'm really appreciative of you all having this session today. We really don't have the black media out there to get our word out like like we should, like we would like to have. And
But then
to
why
be really honest,
they're not running around saying, oh, white people are successful, white people are successful, white people are successful. But the young white kids just grow up knowing that if I apply myself, I too at least have the possibility. So you don't have, why should we have to go through and say, oh, that's successful blacks, that's successful black. When are we going to teach our children that it begins and it ends individually?
at home. At home. That's
teach it
really
at home.
that's really where it's supposed to start. And it gets back to what we said earlier. Too many of our young people don't have that teaching at home, and they don't get it at home. And then when they watch television or they read the newspaper, if they do, they don't see it there either, because the mainstream media really, I mean, you can see that with Barack Obama. The mainstream media don't want to present a positive picture of black Americans. And that's unfortunate, but it's reality.
That's another good example. Why do we let the few negative images that they try to portray outweigh all the good? Because there's enough mainstream media that embrace Obama, or he wouldn't be president. There's enough magazines, there's enough black talent out there who shows all his good. Of course, there's some that show his bad, but there's plenty of media and opinions and commentaries that show all of Bush's bad. But but he still feel okay about himself as a person.
Well,
and he was a lousy president. But he feels okay about himself as a person.
It gets back to continuous feeding of this information.
But we get
it's not
stuck
just a
on the one thing. We get, okay, because they called Michelle Obama a monkey, we get stuck there. What about all of the people who say she's a gorgeous woman? What about all the media who loves Michelle Obama? Why are we stuck on the one person? Because nobody's going to agree with everything.
No, that's true.
You know what, your next book, your research, is when are we as people going to realize that it's okay for us to be okay without the embracing or the endorsement of non-blacks?
Well, I think
it's just okay to be black.
I think that with the mentoring programs and things that are stepping up, and a lot of that is starting to happen, and we do have to continue to push that concept and that position, that you feel good about yourself. And if you taught that at home, it does show when you get out in the public and do things.
Let me example. You know, Italians, they have the stereotype, the mafia, they'll cut your throat. But Italian kids grow up as very proud people. despite the joke, despite the image, despite the reputation. I'm going to let you close us out, but I do like your book, Wake Up Black America, and then I really like what you say you presented to your young black mentor group. We can do this. If we can invent peanut butter that's feeding millions of people worldwide when others are trying to keep us from learning to read and write, we can do this.
We can do this. That's right.
And then your list goes on, though. Okay.
Yes, it does. And people really like that because it basically just says what you know, the point that we're trying to make is that, you know, we've got a rich history of overcoming obstacles as
That's
black
my
people.
point. Okay.
And when we work together to make it happen, we can do this. And, you know, another one here was, if we can invent the golf tee when people didn't want us playing golf and wouldn't let us play golf, we can do this.
We can do this.
You know.
And then if you know, and if people like yourself, myself, and all of these community organization groups out here embrace each other and let our young people know that God sent you here with what it takes to be great. You're already great. You're just working on it so that you can recognize it.
Yes.
Because we know, God knows, and now it's up to you, young people, to know that you're already great.
Yes, and we just have to wake up.
Okay, wake up, America.
And take care of ourselves.
Okay, and we appreciate people like Mr. Johnson putting it in writing, going to schools and organizations trying to educate us, the adults, and the young people. This is me, Rhonda B. from Voices of Mass Discussion, and I thank you for joining us for another exciting show.